So this piece is called Election Year Frustration. It's an election year. And this always brings out the best in Americans. And it looks like it's going to be a replay of the last election. I wish it was too soon to call the primaries, but I don't think it is. Am I the only one frustrated with our two options? This is a picture of me being frustrated. But having said that, here's what I think the bigger picture is. I'm actually very optimistic. I believe America and the American systems are very resilient and that we are doing very well and are poised to do very well in the future despite our leaders. I also think that one way or the other, this is the last 4 years we'll have to endure the Biden-Trump era. And I think there's really nowhere for it to go but up. I am hopeful and dreaming of and working towards a different type of political engagement. It's not the fervor of the election. It's not the passion one side or the other. Why can't we play and then play hard, but then realize we're one nation, and when whoever gets elected, serve the whole people, and whichever side loses and is totally frustrated, realize you lost the game and move on. Win again in the next year. What I think we need is a different type of political engagement, one that is driven by data in a different way. I think Clinton is considered the guy who really transformed politics by learning from data. But his use of data was what focus groups and what voters would think and say and how they'd respond to different, you could say policies, I would say it wasn't policies, but to positions. You can argue whether that was good or bad. What I want to see is tools that can evaluate policies on the basis of data and the results they get and whether they actually work with what they're saying they're supposed to do. These would be tools that would assist leaders and policymakers to make better policies. And then on the flip side, we can hold them accountable. I think that could completely change elections. What I see the big problem is our leaders, our politicians, are incentivized by definition. They're incentivized by what raises money and what gets them elected. The results of their policies are supposed to have certain results to make the nation better, whatever issue gap there. So we get who's ever best at running politics, not who's best at making policies and actually leading. If we can create tools, and I'm helpful that there are tools that we can do, and that's the challenge out there. There's two examples of that I'm connected with that make me very optimistic. One is an organization called Together SF, and I've learned about them, met them, and I'm looking forward to being able to partner with them more. I think they were birthed out of COVID, so they're not that old. They've done a great job in San Francisco. You can check them out. The way I describe them is old school political activism. They've been doing lots of work. They built the largest, they claim it's the largest, most active network in the city. Their vision is active participants to make their city better. Love that vision. And they combine this old school political activism, which is just hard work, meeting in the homes of people, then having another meeting with their friends. It's like a Tupperware strategy. And you have meeting after meeting, and you build these relationships. They combine that with a hyper-local approach that is data-driven, that is researching of policies that will actually are proven to work, that will move the needle on issues that matter to the average San Franciscan, like homelessness and things like that. They brought transparency to it. They ran this campaign called It's the Fentanyl Life. And made a major public, big PR campaign, and then typical San Franciscan sarcasm to say, these are open air drug markets, and fentanyl is not a wonderful way to live, and we should change it. And then they called them demands. They put demands to the city hall. These are the areas that we believe will move the needle based upon our research. They submitted 12 of them, and basically I think they got all 12 of them accepted. It's very successful. But I love that approach that is, I won't call it nonpartisan, it's apartisan. We have a partisan system. We have to accept that. That's part of the game. It's like, you might not like it. That's how the American system is built, and there's no time future that we're going to have multiple parties. Although in California, it's not really different. It's different. We don't really have a two-party system in California. We have one party because the Democratic Party has gained such control over the country, over the state, California, and then we have opposition parties. So that's interesting. But Together SF is one model I'm excited about. I really like what they're doing. Another thing I'm excited about is a project I'm working on with Vanessa, or rather I'm helping her work on, called the AI Advocate. And this is about taking laws that are passed, and generally the laws are, the ones who are the recipients of the laws are generally often the minority poor. And many, many laws are passed under the guise that this, for their benefit, to help them better, particularly in California. But one, these laws are so complicated that not even educated people know about them. They're very unaware of them, much less the poor minorities they propose to help. So AI Advocate would take these laws, it would analyze them and break them down into fourth grade English, and potentially other languages too. We can add translation there. And then partner that with advocates to, and the whole thing is to give tools to the community to be more involved in the political process, to be consulted on laws, and then for them to be able to hold their leaders accountable for laws that affect their community. I think that's brilliant. And I think whoever can figure this out and solve this problem has huge potential. So we've got to be social entrepreneurs, and the things that frustrate you, there's nothing to fear but fear itself. There's nothing to be frustrated with except frustration itself if it paralyzes you. You need to be a social entrepreneur and just make that quarter turn to say, there's a problem that demands a solution. And the bigger the problem is, the more value there is in the solution. And my challenge is to be a social entrepreneur that is not only looking at the monetary value of a solution, but is instead looking at the monetary as a way to sustain and scale a solution, but not the driver behind it, because your deep, hardcore driver is a motivation for the common good, to make the world a better place. Not that we reject the profit motive at all, far from it. We need the profit motive, and but it's not profit first. It's certainly not profit at any cost. It's profitability as a follower, not as the leader. The leader is the vision and the good and the righteous things that we can do, and the good we can create, the righteous things we can